is Dr. Mommy Budgets coming back to you again with another video. As you can see, I am sitting here in my cozy chair. Therefore, it's time for another video on cozy chair conversation. It seems like it's been forever since I've been on here, and it probably is mainly because it's been a lot going on this past week. From the children starting school to, everybody just getting adjusted to the schedules of being back in school and me having to get them to school and me adjusting my work schedule. It's just been a whole lot going on. And honestly, we are still in the adjusting phase, but I just felt the need to just hop on here and create a video because I missed you guys and I just wanted to come on and share some information that I have been thinking about. Okay, in today's topic, I have decided to talk about, of course, I have my little notepad here with my notes on it. I've decided to talk about the math game versus the mind game when it comes to money. So basically, there are two routes you can take. Actually, you need to take both routes. You need to have a mind game and you need to have a money game. So, if this is some information that you are interested in, I would love it if you would stick around and stay tuned. Okay, the money game versus the mind game. Basically, what I have come to realize just from me and my personal experiences, which you guys know I love to talk from my personal experiences because that is the best way for me to explain information to you, especially if I have had that experience. Putting the math game before the money, I'm sorry, putting the math game before the mind game. Now, what exactly do I mean by that? Putting the math game before the mind game. Basically, remember when we're talking math, math is your hard numbers. It is the total amount of money that you bring home in your paycheck, the total amount of money that you want to save, the total amount of money you want to pay towards your debts. See, all of that is hard, concrete numbers. And as I mentioned to you guys before in previous videos, I am a math person. I have a bachelor's degree in mathematics, so I love, 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 love my numbers. And I think this is one reason why budgeting, getting out of debt, numbers, and accounting, economics, that kind of thing is so near and dear to my heart because I love numbers. Okay, the mind game, basically the math game versus the mind game. 9 times out of 10, if you decide to put the math game before the mind game, here are some of the results that you will get. Remember, putting math before, I'm sorry, yeah, putting math before the mind game. I got to make sure that I have my information written out correctly here. Okay, here are some of the results you will get. You will pay your expenses and your debt primarily based on the monies that you would receive. Now, what I mean by that is, let's say at the end of the week, the month, bi-weekly, however you get your pay, you have a certain amount. Let's just say you have $1,000. Okay? If you are putting the math game before the mind game, what happens is You take that $1,000 and you're thinking, what expenses can I pay this week? What expenses can I pay this week? So basically, you're going to get that pay. You look at the calendar. Okay, when my electric bill is due this week, my rent is due this week. Okay, my rent is $800 and my electric bill is $100. So that's $900. Okay, I'm going to pay those two debts or expenses and I'm going to have $100 left over for the week. Okay, this is someone that's getting paid weekly. So they have that $100 to do whatever else that may come down the pipeline that they may not have planned for, or whatever the case may be. That $100 is going to take them through to the next week. Then they get to the following week. They get that next $1,000. Okay, well, I got daycare expenses due this week. I got the water bill, and I got, whatever else expense. I'm going to pay a little bit toward the credit cards this week because I have a little bit more left over. By the time they pay those three expenses, then they have about $100, $150, $200 left over. Okay, this is the amount that's going to get me to the next week. So basically, they're planning their pay based on the debts and expenses that are coming up in that upcoming week, or what they feel that they can squeeze out of that paycheck to satisfy. That is one of the results of putting the math game before the mind game. Another result can be money can run out before all of your expenses and debts are taken care of, which is pretty much what we just said in that first example. Remember, in those examples, those individuals are paying what they can pay until the total amount of that money is gone or almost depleted. Okay? So once again, the math game is being put before the mind game. I'm going to pay as much as I can out of this current pay until it runs out. So therefore, there is a very high risk, probably about 90% risk, that you will run out of money. Okay? That's the second result of putting the math game before the mind game. A third thing is, just for the sake of this video, I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet. One more thing I want to look at. There are tons of reasons or results you can get from putting the math before the mind. Okay? Thinking immediate actions, not long-term effects or consequences. So basically, as supported in our first two examples, you're thinking short term. Okay, I got this set amount of money. What can I pay real quick? What can I knock out now? What kind of debts? You're not looking down the month. You're only looking at this week. Okay, this debt is due this day. I'm going to take care of this day. Okay, we'll wait on the next paycheck. This debt is due this day. This expense I need to take care of this day. So we're going to pay it based on that paycheck. So you just, kind of limp through the month that way. You know what I'm saying? All the way through the month until you're starting another month and another cycle. And if you can listen to what I just said, there is no thought being put into how you make your payments or pay your expenses. No thought. Therefore, you have placed the money game or the math game before the mind game. So that's three examples I wanted to give you as it related to that. Now, the next, let's flip the switch, putting the mind game before the math or the money game. Okay? Putting the mind game before the math or the money game. My first point is to adjust and make modifications about how you view money. That is like one of the most expensive, I'm sorry, not expensive, the most important, which I guess you can call it expensive as well, points or factors that you need to take away from this video if you don't take anything else. You want to make sure that you make adjustments and modifications to how you look at money, because clearly in the example I gave earlier, you are not looking at money as accurately as you need to. Now, what I mean by make adjustments or modifications um, about how you view money is, let's think long, spans. Let's think about what if I pay my rent and another expense out of that first paycheck and something else happens. What am I going to do? Or there's another expense that comes into view that I hadn't planned. What am I going to do to take care of that expense? I know we can't set aside money for every instance, but we can make better decisions. We can make adjustments to how we view money and start to put money aside for those emergency purposes. Okay? The second pointer I want to make is to make sacrifices when it comes to buying items to set yourself up to be successful with money. So that means that sometimes you want to tell yourself no as it relates to trying to set your budget up. So this is mindful thinking. You are thinking about the math and money game. Therefore, you are putting the mind game before the money game. Okay, so what I mean by that is, as it relates to making these sacrifices, you may want to hold off on buying that purse or that pair of shoes or whatever the case may be until you set your emergency fund up, until you get your emergency fund in place. Because 9 times out of 10, the majority of us already have enough shoes, or at least a couple of pair of shoes in our closet that can get us through until we have set up that emergency fund, so that once we have those unexpected expenses, which we will have, then we will be set for that. So make the sacrifice to not buy that item right now so that you can set yourself up for success with your money. And one success with your money can be to put that emergency fund in place so that you will be able to take care of expenses that may, you know, come into your current situation that you may not expect. All right, the third pointer I want to make real quick is money most often will not run out before your debt and expenses are taken care of. Remember, this is if you are putting the mind game before the money or the numbers game. It will not run out. What I mean by that is when you get that first paycheck, which is similar to how I budget on a weekly basis. You guys already know how I set aside small chunks of money every week so that when that debt is due, I'm not trying to take my entire paycheck to pay that debt out of that one paycheck. I've already set aside little chunks of money throughout the month. So now, okay, the mortgage is due is $918. I don't have to pull the entire $918 out of that current paycheck. I can only pull, let's say, $300 out of that paycheck and pull the other two 300s or the $600 out of the money I've set aside. So, therefore, based on that strategy, I will never run out of monies as it relates to me paying my mortgage because of the strategy and the plan I put in place. So what you want to do is think, mindful thinking, play the mind game, the mind game first, then play the money or the math game. Okay? So set aside all your debts. Just put everything out in a pile in the middle of the floor if you have to. Every debt. And then you're going to want to set aside when that debt is due. If you need to make you a calendar or whatever the case may be. Okay, this bill is due on the 3rd. This one is due on the 1st. This one is due on the 24th. Now, see, that means that you're thinking now. You're not just trying to hurry up and get to the next paycheck so that you can pay this debt. You're thinking. You put everything out in front of you. And then from there, you go through and say, okay, How much can I take from this pay to set aside, to accommodate for that debt that's due down the line? Okay, so you're pretty much making adjustments, and you're not running out of money, and you're able to comfortably get to the end of the month, have money in an emergency fund, save money, as well as take care of your debts or expenses. So that's what you want to start doing as it relates to playing the mind game versus the money game. You always want to play the mind game before you tackle the math or the money game. Okay? All right, everyone. This is all I have for this video for now. This is Dr. Mommy Budgets. And remember, we dream big but start small around here. And I would love it if you would thumbs up this video, like this video, leave a comment and let me know what game you're playing. Are you playing the mind game versus the money game? Or are you playing the money game versus the mind game? This is all I have for now. And until next time, this is Dr. Mommy Budgets once again signing off. Peace.